John, how's the squad feeling this week?
Pretty excited, in good shape.
You had a couple of blokes receive knocks on the weekend. You mentioned Bo Waters and his back, and Mark McCrae got one to the lower leg. How did that come up?
Yeah, good. I've asked Bo a couple of times, but I should have learnt by now not to ask him how he's feeling this time of year. He's up and ready to go. Yeah, the knock to his back just put it into a bit of spasm. Nothing like Coxie's. He obviously then went back out and finished the game off, no worries. So Bo's right, and Lecker's feeling good.
What about Eric McKenzie? Had that moon boot on the other day.
Yeah, he's just got a sore foot at the moment. He wore the moon boot all last week as well, leading into last week's game. So again, just looking after him at this time of year, he should be okay.
He's obviously pretty important. We've got a few tall forwards that have been in good form.
Yeah, he's a very important player to us.
We saw Kennedy's eye swell up during the game. Have you found out whether it was the same eye as the previous injury?
No, I didn't ask.
Okay.
No.
How's it looking now?
I haven't seen him today, so I really haven't seen him since Monday. So I'd expect he'd still have a bit of a black eye, but he's feeling good, providing he gets through training today. But we don't expect there's any doubt about that. So very confident he's fit to go.
John, how's Matt Rosa tracking?
Another one tracking really well. Yeah, he'll do today's full session, and with a view to put his hand up and say he's available for selection.
Is it too much of a risk to bring him back to AFL football in such a game?
There's some element of risk, and that's really just going to be around not having played. There won't be any element of risk if he gets through his fitness regime. So it's really just around whether someone who hasn't played for a number of weeks is right to come in, and that's around the importance to the side, and whether we think his touch is good enough coming in first up, which I personally would be confident it would be.
If Eric McKenzie doesn't get up this week, what are the options for you?
Well, the options would be Mitch Brown coming in. Brett Jones has been in outstanding form, and then Ash Smith has played that role for us earlier in the year on tall opposition players. With
the extra tall that they sometimes throw with options, would you have to bring in, look at Mitch Brown anyway, even if Eric does play?
No, it would be covered off.
Yep. 2 weeks ago at the start of the final series, we were all talking about your young squad and hadn't played in finals, a lot of them. How do you think they're well placed? How do you think they're placed now?
Well, they've learnt a lot. There's no doubt about that. The younger players really have enjoyed two big games against Collingwood and Carlton, two really good finals games, not just where we got blown away or anything like that. They've really matched it with those teams. So they've played in two big pressure games, one in front of an MCG Collingwood crowd and the other one in front of a home crowd. So those experiences have been great for the guys who haven't had that before.
Was that one 2 weeks ago particularly important going into this week, given just 2 weeks ago you were at the MCG and again you'll be at the MCG?
Yeah, I think there's certainly a lot of value to be taken out of playing 2 weeks ago against Collingwood at the G.
Do you have to make any adjustments this week, John? When you played Collingwood 2 weeks ago, they tend to head to the boundary and they play the boundary very well. Geelong have shown a propensity over a number of seasons to head the other way, back inside the corridor. Does that require any adjustment for you when you're trying to get your players to close down space and get pressure on them?
There's always different focuses with every opposition you play. So Geelong do play a different style of game to Collingwood, and our players will be aware of that for sure.
Cox and Nat Noe have obviously been a standout, specifically all season, I guess. But Brad Alton's had a ripping game against Hawthorn. How do you see that match up?
Well, I'd like to think our boys have done well against all opposition this year, but we also are aware that even against Collingwood, when they dominated the hit-outs, we didn't win the clearances. So it's not all about them just winning taps. It's about how we use them and how they bring our other players into the game. So another big challenge through the midfield for us.
Do you have to nurse Daniel Kerr through this week at all, or has he come up pretty well out of the weekend?
No, he's pulled up pretty well. So we'll do what we have to with him. And today's going to be a very light session. So there's quite a few boys that will only do part of today's session. They'll do some running as they did last week prior to it. And Daniel, I think, will be one of those.
you mentioned converting ruck dominance into clearances. There's a noticeable difference in your ability to do that against Carlton with Kerr and Pritis both in stoppages, particularly in the second quarter.
Yeah, well, obviously Daniel Kerr is at the elite level of stoppage play, and it was great to have him out there for that game on the weekend. That doesn't guarantee us anything this week, but at least we go in with our number one midfield intact.
We talked to a few players on Monday and they're just saying how excited they are to be in a prelim. How about as a coach, what are your emotions leading into this week?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was rapt to get the opportunity to play finals footy and to see and measure again how far these guys have developed themselves. And they haven't let themselves or anyone down in the way they've attacked their two finals so far, and that's why I'm confident and excited about what they're going to bring this week.
Luke Shuey got run down a few times against Collingwood 2 weeks ago. What's your message to him? Do you still want him to take it on like that? Yeah,
he'd play his game. We asked him what he learnt out of that game, and it was a great experience for him, and I think he was better positioned on the weekend, and he'll be better positioned again this week with what he's learnt.
Do you worry about the two hard finals and any physical toll that might have taken on your group as opposed to Geelong, who have had the week off? No, you can't worry about that at all, because it is what it is. We'll just prepare and be ready to go.
Does that 06 experience where you went 4 to get there make a difference at all? Does that help, especially some of the senior players, conveying that to the younger players?
I think it just means there's no barrier. There's no right way to go around winning finals games. But it doesn't change our focus on our preparation this week. That was a totally different group, and this is a new, vibrant young group that want to create their own destiny.
Do you take into this week, John, given where you've come from, is it a kind of a nothing to lose approach, or is it actually, there's a fair bit on the line, we've got a fair bit to lose?
Well, it's the same as every game you play. Yeah, these blokes are geared up to play their best and aim to win, and that doesn't change this week. So, when you get to finals time, it's usually, other than top 4 in the first week, it's knockout. So there's a big price to pay either way. You win, you earn a lot, and you lose and your season's over, but it won't change our motivation to perform well.
Did Scott Selwood come to you on Monday and say, can I play a job?
No, he hasn't.
Do you expect him to, or will he get the job on?
He may do, obviously. That's we've got to put a bit of work into how we're going to use our midfield this week.
How do you see that? I mean, even if Scott doesn't, Adam's there just to give Joel a few straight on.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're into all those sort of games, but it is a challenge I would expect mentally to play on your brother or against your brother in opposing teams. But it's happened a lot throughout history with a lot of brothers playing against each other. So the boys have got to just make sure that they know their main focus. That's on playing the game, and they're playing against Geelong.
I think Selwood parents Barrackingville would be supporting West Coast. It's good to have a bit more support over there in Melbourne.
I hope they're loud. They've got a big job to do if they can make a big difference.
Scott would be mentally fairly well equipped for something like that, wouldn't he? Seem to be one of your more driven and focused players. Yeah,
he's very focused and very switched on to playing his role for the team. So once the ball's bounced, he's going to try and get first hands on it and put plenty of pressure on the opposition around him.